In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.
Welcome, everyone, to the Washington Football Team preview show brought to you by District Divided. I am one host, Amit, and that is host number 2, Kadeen Wiggins, a.k.a. K-Dot. We both watched the game against the Philadelphia Eagles, so we're going to quickly chat about that, and then we're going to get into the playoff start today mode with this game against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night, called by Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. We're going to get into the injury report. We normally do an overview, but we did one a couple of weeks ago for the Cowboys. Then we're going to talk about Washington Football Team offense against the Cowboys defense, flip the script, Washington Football Team defense against the Cowboys offense, and then give you a prediction as we always do. But first things first, K-Dot, how are you doing, sir?
As good as I can be. I mean, I think I switched my position on that Philadelphia Eagles game on the pod. I ended up picking Washington, I think.
Right, yeah.
Even on the other podcast, I picked Philly because I expected us to go in. But after you scared the shit out of me with the whole playoff thing, it's like, oh. So I think right now, sitting after that game, it's not that I'm like overly, oh my God, the sky is falling, because it's just kind of what I expected to have happen. I think the way it happened has me in a sort of like, all right, maybe it's over.
Right. I mean, that was frustrating, wasn't it?
It was frustrating, but I mean, that's the thing, is like, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, because it was a COVID game, right? It was our COVID game. So what does that mean? Is this really an indication of where the team is? I mean, you can't really say that with the amount of guys that were gone, with the amount of guys that weren't even able to practice last week going into that game. Like, it's just, who knows? I just didn't like what I saw, and having a football team run down our throats, as you know, I'm all about running the football. It's a demoralizing thing. And I think as the game went on, you just feel more and more down. And I still think I'm not necessarily as high as I have been the last few weeks, just because of the way it happened.
I feel like we gave good advice to the Washington Football Team, and I can't help but feel Sirianni and the boys ended up listening to the Washington Football Team preview show, because, like you said, they ran all over us. It was so demoralizing. That was probably the most demoralizing loss, now that I think about it, because when you can't stop the run, there's really no chance to win the game, right?
Sure. There's nothing you can do. You can tell, like, when everyone knows in the stadium where the ball's going and they do it anyway. It's hard. It's why I gave the Bill Belichick thing a few weeks ago so much credit. It's why I gave Washington a 4-game win streak so much credit. When you telegraph, this is what we're going to do, and the guys in the trenches just say, fuck, we're going to do it to you anyway. It hurts, because you see the defense get withered down further and further, and you feel like the runs are just, all right, what was going early for the game for 4 yards of carry is now going for 6 yards of carry. Like, it's just, it starts hurting, and you can just see the look on everybody's faces. You just get dejected. And as you're watching it on TV, there's nothing worse than you see them do the first down, second down, then they pick up the third down on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, fuck. And then they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again. And it's just, what do you do? You just sitting there watching.
It's especially bad because as a fan, when you're getting beaten down like that and you're just on the couch, like, that's when you know it's really, really bad. Wanted to ask you, what were your thoughts on Garrett Gilbert?
I was talking to Brendan, Brendan, about this. You know Brendan.
Yes, I do.
About what the thing with Washington right now is, if you really look at it, what's our sample size as far as what we've seen from the quarterback position over the last 2 years? A shell of Alex Smith, Taylor Heinicke, Kyle Allen for all of a game before his ass got hurt. I think he's played 4 full quarters for, I don't know. It doesn't feel like we've seen a lot of them. Even go back further, it just feels as though you haven't really seen anything in the quarterback position, right? Taylor Heinicke, he does certain things in a really, really cool way, but the biggest thing that you see is he can't throw the ball down the field. The arm strength is there. When Garrett Gilbert was back there, you could tell the dude has the arm talent. He might not have the moxie that Taylor has, but it was kind of nice seeing that ball come out of that zip. I mean, it was not as good seeing that ball hit the fucking dirt, because they're just not on the same page. He has no idea where the receivers are supposed to be. And the receivers have no idea how it is that they're supposed to play with this guy. So it's just – look, I give Gilbert a shit ton of credit for coming in an untenable situation and actually looking like a competent person.
Right.
You cannot say that he cost us the game. You can't do that. But you could do is you could say, like, man, as much as you like Taylor Heinicke, what would this team look like with somebody with an arm?
I know, right? It made you wonder a little bit, surely.
A little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought all things considered he did fine. You know, I was, I think, pleasantly surprised. I know that he knew Scott Turner and Ron Rivera for a little bit there. And it showed because they really, he had 7 pass attempts in the first drive or first 2 drives. Like, they were using him as if he were a Taylor Heinicke or Kyle Allen or one guy you didn't mention was Ryan Fitzpatrick, who we saw for a hot 2 minutes, and then he was done. So, yeah, the QB carousel continued again on Tuesday, but we do get Taylor Heinicke back. So why don't we jump into the Cowboys game, talk about the injury report. Taylor Heinicke did clear COVID protocol, so he is going to be available, thank goodness, this Sunday. He gets another chance at the Dallas Cowboys. So he'll be there. David Mayo, linebacker, is going to be there. Now, that's big because on the other side, who just got COVID, Cole Holcomb, our best linebacker. And I was looking at the numbers. He's a big, big miss, right? So he quarterbacks the defense. That's 1. 2, he's top 10 in solo tackles, and he's top 12. So I'm really just, he's right there, 11 and 9 respectively in total tackles, including assists. He does so much. So now we're going to have a big moment for Jamin Davis, right? Who a lot of people are throwing shit at. To me, first round pick, he's finding his feet. I'm fine with it. His performances to me to an extent are excusable, okay? Because we knew he was sort of going to be this project, right? He's got the physical tools. He's got the size, the speed, all that stuff he has. And he will continue to improve as he continues to develop in this system with Rivera and Del Rio. That's my take on it. But he's got a huge, huge opportunity to do something against Dallas because Cole Holcomb's going to be out. David Mayo is probably going to quarterback the offense from the sounds of it, according to Ron Rivera. So big news there. Temmarick Hemingway also came off the COVID list. Now here's the actual injury report. Landon Collins may not play. Antonio Gibson may not play. Daniel Wise may not play. William Jackson may not play. Kendall Fuller, as of right now, is still on the COVID list. He was unvaccinated, so he can come off, I think, on Saturday. What if he doesn't? I mean, it's crazy what we have to go through over there. That's just our side of the ball. K-Dot, what are your thoughts on that injury report and missing Cole Holcomb, but also getting Heinicke back, getting David Mayo back?
That defense going to miss that mullet, man.
Yes, sir.
Favorite mullet in America, really, Cole Holcomb. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Is there any chance that he's vaccinated? Is there any chance he gets 2 negative tests before Sunday?
Yeah, and you could technically do it on Sunday itself. It is Sunday night, so again, if you get him on the same day in the same moment, you could test him twice technically at the same time. It's crazy, the new rules, as far as I understand them. He just needs 2 negative tests on the same day. They could be 2 minutes apart, no matter.
It'd be huge because, I mean, right now, Cole Holcomb, as the years go, he's been our most surefire tackler. It's not – you don't see a lot of times where you have guys bouncing off him. He's usually there to make the play when it needs to be made, which is where I think the biggest struggles with Davis has been. And also Davis being too shallow on a lot of the crossing routes, playing too close to the line of scrimmage when he needs to play back as far as in the coverage aspect. But, yeah, you're right. We all thought he was a project sort of linebacker. I mean, I didn't think that he was the stud coming out of college. I just thought that it was going to be something that we were going to have to work with him and get to a certain level. I thought that maybe if the front 4 was working really, really hard, his speed getting those tackles, that he would be able to do that. But he just needs to do better. This is an opportunity, like you said, there for him. I don't know if I'm skirting one way or the other. I mean, it's really hard. I know, especially Cowboys fans, comparing linebackers where they got Parsons on their side of the football, or you got other guys like JOK or some of the other dudes that have just been around. It's tough. It's tough sledding. But I'm not taking anything away from Davis other than saying, hey, there are too many times where I see you're in position to make the play and you don't make the play.
Right.
You need to make the tackle. So it's either shit or get off the pot, son. Like, let's get it done. We need to see your physicality. He has the speed. We just need to see the physical tools there with him as far as making those stops. But Landon Collins, like always, is a huge fucking miss on that defense. I mean, as much as I don't want to look at a lot of things in that Philadelphia game to hang my hat on defensively, I did like seeing Jeremy Reeves there on the field. He was flying in and out of
great.
stuff. I thought
Yeah.
he was him, Bobby McCain, what they do with Kamren Curl. There's some options there at safety where I wish we would have Landon Collins there to kind of make up for what's happening with Cole Holcomb. But if he's out too, that makes it really, really hard on the defense, especially after a game when we got ran all over, where that was the one thing that we've been able to hang our hat on this defense being able to do. But regardless, the biggest name is Taylor Heinicke coming back. Gary Gilbert, not knowing the guys, you don't really have a chance when you got that kind of guy at quarterback. As much as he might have the physical tools, he just doesn't know this team. And I think Taylor coming back, especially off of – he's hungry. I could see Taylor right now being really, really energetic, really, really wanting to get at it and go get – and I think this team feeds off of that. So I think it's huge. But the biggest thing that this team is needed, and we're not going to get him back on offense, is J.D. McKissic. And I cannot stress enough how much we're missing on offense.
Yeah, no, thank you for mentioning his name. He'd gone on IR a few days ago. Totally, slipped my mind to even mention him. But that is a huge, huge loss on offense. And if Gibson can't go, instead of it being a mix of McKissic and Jared Patterson, now it's going to be Patterson and Jonathan Williams. Williams looked nice. I mean, but it's not the same thing, right? J.D. McKissic, great in blitz pickup, great out of the backfield catching it. He can run between the tackles. Just a very underrated NFL player in general and huge to our offense. So that is definitely a big miss. One other thing I wanted to mention, Kamren Curl, as far as I saw at the time of this recording, still isn't off the COVID list from what I've seen. So could be missing him. I anticipate he'd be back, but I also thought Kyle Allen was going to be back for the Philly game. So we're going to see what happens there. One name to note, if you're already fully in draft mode, I don't know if we'll get him, but I started just looking for kicks. Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame, 6'4", 220. He is a monster. He is going to be a brilliant safety in the league from what I've seen. Of course, it's all highlights, but I'm already getting excited about that. So if the season goes south, we're on a 2-game losing streak and continues to, maybe we got a shot at him.
No,
I think it would be great.
I don't root for Fighting Irishmen. Fuck that team.
You will if he puts on the burgundy and gold. And
I'll be forced to. But it'll be begrudgingly.
Well, you were talking about Jock earlier. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and talk about this game now. So let's begin. Taylor Heinicke's back. So why don't we begin with the Washington football team offense against the Dallas Cowboys defense? Oh, one quick thing to note from the Dallas Cowboys side of things. They are very healthy with the exception of Tyron Smith, who may end up missing the game at tackle. That's about it. All right, so let's get into the offense against the defense. Taylor Heinicke back. The last time we played them, we turned the ball over 4 times. The Dallas Cowboys defense in the last 3 games generated 12 turnovers, 4 in each against the Saints, against the Giants, and against the Washington football team. Now, the quarterbacks they face besides Heinicke, it was Taysom Hill in his first start in Lord knows how long, and Mike Glennon, who literally just kept throwing it directly to Cowboys players for fun. So it's not that impressive, but the point is they still caught it. They still managed to create those turnovers. The Dallas Cowboys defense is playing really, really well against the teams that are put up against them. K-Dot, what are your keys on this side of the ball?
Take care of the fucking football. Jesus. Like that is the thing that we looked at that Cowboys game and like, yep, that's the loss. Like it was the turnovers. And I mean, right now it's of absolute paramount importance. I mean, that's the one thing that we've been able to do this year is not turn the ball over as much. I mean, that's the thing. Antonio Gibson has got to figure some shit out as far as holding on to the football. But outside of that, Taylor's just got to make sure he doesn't compound on his mistakes. Like, it's okay to take a shot with Terry here and there, but don't force things you don't need to force when there are other options available. There are so many times in that Cowboys game where you look, you see that he had something wide open that'll get you the first down, but he's looking for the home run. And I think a lot of times with that, when it comes to Taylor, is that what you're looking at when it comes to the play calling. I'm still of the idea that we have to be a run-first team throughout. Like, in order for us to thrive the best way that we can, we've got to be a run-first team. It's what it is that we're doing to set ourselves up to on second or third and shorts that give us the opportunity to get Taylor to move out of the pocket, to make something happen with his feet, to throw the ball downfield, or to work something as far as the layers and the routes. That has to be something that we're doing. Without J.D. McKissic there, I haven't seen necessarily Antonio Gibson be able to do it week in and week out. He's had the one really, really good game, but outside of that, you even look at this last game against Philadelphia, there's so many times where I get angry. You can ask my girlfriend. There's so many times I get angry. I'm yelling at the TV. Antonio, you're 225 fucking pounds. Stop dancing. Just run. There was this even play. He catches the ball out, runs out, or I forget if it was a toss or whatever, but I know he has the ball out on the left side, and it's him and a defensive back, a corner. He's clearly bigger than, and he's dancing and trying to lower your shoulder and run the man over. Like, I don't understand sometimes when it comes to Gibson. He just doesn't play like a running back sometimes, but I can understand it.
Quickly in his defense, though, he does have this he does have a toe injury, and it does make it difficult for him to explode.
So stop acting like fucking Fred Astaire and just lower your goddamn shoulder. I don't need you to be happy feet. Stop Gregory Hines-ing the fucking shit and just run.
I don't know what to tell you. It's an incredibly painful injury.
I
wanted to see it too. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. It's one thing if I'm talking about just take the one cut and go. I get that. I'm a fan of those kind of runners, the one cut go. I'm not asking you to plant like that. I'm saying stop doing this and just move north and south. You're big enough. These guys should not want to tackle you by the time the third quarter comes around. And that has nothing to do with your fucking toe. Just run. Just run. Just go straight. You're running anyway. Just run in one direction opposed to the side, to the east and west bullshit. It just annoys me.
So it sounds like, if I'm hearing you correctly, I feel like you're a therapist right now. I just want to make sure I've heard you correctly. It is take care of the ball. Again, Dallas has turned over their last 3 opponents 4 times each. One of those games was against us. And get back to what we were doing best, which was running the ball on first down, running the ball on second down, getting to third and short, all those little things. Is that correct?
Dude, yes. Because, look, we knew this was going to be a precarious situation when we were going on the sprint streak, right? We weren't blowing teams out. We were just winning these games. One possession, winning games, right? And it was winning the time of possession, not turning the football over, and playing side defense. You're doing that on offense by running the fucking football. You have to do those things. Look, let's call it what it is. Washington last year overachieved. And we went 7-9, and it was an overachieving thing to the point where you even have Ron Rivera this year saying, I kind of wish we didn't get the division. Because even as you were saying last week, we won the division, so we have the toughest schedule in the division. Did it help us really as far as this rebuild? Maybe because we've been facing a lot more challenging teams in the long term. But you look at the team that Ron Rivera took over, we were in full rebuild mode. And all of a sudden we won the division. We're ahead of schedule. But even with being ahead of schedule, there's still a lot of things this team fucking needs. And we're not healthy. We have to win these games by the skin of our fucking teeth. And that comes with running the ball and playing stout defense. That's our only recipe. Taylor's not going to be able to go back there and drop 45 times a fucking game. It's just not going to work. He does not have the arm strength to make that happen. And Terry McLaurin, as great as he is, and he catches these 50-50 balls, they're 50-50 balls. Okay?
And he's going to keep getting hurt. I mean, yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Because as good as McLaurin is, and he is one of the best 50-50 wide receivers in the game, he is coming down hard. He's getting hit really hard because it's sailing. And so I'm really looking forward to the episode. We're going to do one where once the season is over, we are going to evaluate what we feel we need to do in the offseason. We're going to ask a bunch of very basic questions. For example, how do you feel about Ron Rivera? How do you feel about Scott Turner? How do you feel about Jack Del Rio? And we're going to build from there. It's almost like you and I are playing GM, and how would you do it? So I'm looking forward to that episode once we get there, and we will. But for the time being, let's continue over here, and let's flip the script. I think you and I are in total agreement. Run the ball, and please take care of the football. Now, here on the other side of the ball is a place where we can really capitalize. It's the Dallas Cowboys offense, the supposedly high-octane offense that is continuing to struggle against our defense that is starting to get a little more healthy. Again, Cole Holcomb is out, but we could get Kendall Fuller back. We could get Kamren Curl back. I would anticipate getting one or both back. And our defensive line is starting to look all right again. Jonathan Allen, congratulations on making the Pro Bowl as a starter. Big time validation for you. The anti-Hainsworth is what I saw in a tweet. And it's so true because he just got paid. Instead, he puts out a Pro Bowl type season. So congratulations, Jonathan Allen. It was great. I know we all have our frustrations with Montez not getting vaccinated. It was nice to see him back out there. It was nice to see his frame. He forced a fumble. It was great to see him back out there. So we're getting a bit healthier on that side of the ball as well. KDOT over here on this side, now again, missing Cole Holcomb and potentially Landon Collins, what do you want to see on this side of the ball? My fear is that the Cowboys might be able to run all over us. It's also a short week for us. Again, this is the fourth straight time our opponent has had more rest than us. It's insane. I'm worried that without Cole Holcomb, this could end up being a long night for us with Zeke and Pollard running.
Last week changed everything, or this week changed everything. The one thing we weren't worried about on this defense got blown to smithereens. They ran 200-plus yards on us. And we can't even say it was like Jalen Hurts. Of course, he got a few yards here and there, but it wasn't like the Daniel Jones. He didn't go for 80. He didn't go for 100. That was Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard running all over us. And I think what scares me more than anything, once again, not really afraid of Zeke, but Tony Pollard is very much in that same mold as a Miles Sanders as far as the style of run and as far as the speed. And if we do anything along the lines of what we allowed to have happen to Miles Sanders happen to us with Pollard, it is going to be a long, long, long night. Look, after that Dallas game, I looked at what it is that Dallas was able to get done on offense, and I said, man, we, other than the 4 turnovers, we're sizing up. We got them right there, and we're going to be able to win this game. Once again, that Philadelphia game threw everything out of whack. There were certain things you were noticing, even the defensive line, so I want to give them credit, especially with the pass rush in this last game against Philly. How many times did you look like you had 4 down guys blitzing because of how much they were pursuing the quarterback and left those lanes wide the fuck open for Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard to just run? You could drive Matt trucks through the holes that I was looking at sometimes on these plays. Yeah. It was rough. And there were also times where you had these guys would bounce up in the one hole and nobody was physical enough to get them down on the ground, and they would bounce out and take it out again. There were so many of those times where you had the opportunity to make the play and it just wasn't happening. And then on top of it, having giant fucking interstates for these running backs to run through. That has to get shored up, and that has to get shored up immediately. One would think that one game is the anomaly because we haven't seen that this season. So my hope is that, hey, COVID, these guys haven't been able to be as physical as they needed to be. It's just rough go. This won't happen again. That's what I'm hoping, was that this is just a one-time thing and that we can go back to what we have been doing. Because what we have been doing, I think, lines up very, very well against Dallas in the sense that we should be able to get after Dak Prescott. We shouldn't be able – we're not going to get beat off the top a whole lot. And what you do is you play really, really good defense against the run, and when it comes to the offense doing the time possession, it gives us the opportunity to win the game. So if I'm Washington, I'm saying that the Philadelphia game doesn't exist. It didn't happen. That wasn't us. That's not how we play football, and that we're going to get back to it. That's my hope. If that doesn't happen, fuck it. We've lost. This is it. It's done. If we no longer have a rush defense, say goodnight, ladies and gentlemen. It's these last 3 weeks are going to be rough.
Yep, I totally agree. That's why my key to the game is defensive line win. It's as simple as that, because if you don't, can you name, think about the linebackers that are available to us. This is not looking good at that second level, right? Jamin Davis, again, he could end up being a superstar in this league, okay? But again, a project. He's not there right now. Now, the opportunity and the heavy reliance on him may bring something out of him, and that would be great. That is another key to it. Maybe Jamin feels relied upon. Maybe he feels the responsibility, and he does really well with it. But you can't rely on that. You can't rely on a rookie to carry you. So it's going to have to be, as Jonathan Allen mentioned after the Eagles game, put it on the D-line. I think it was a bit harsh because, COVID is a very big deal right now for this team. We're missing a lot of people because of it. But if you can't stop the run, everything we've talked about up until this point doesn't matter, because the Cowboys won't have to throw. I mean, the secondary won't have to do anything in terms of guarding anybody except shed their blocks. I mean, that's it. CD can block. Amari can block. They're happy to block. And so you got to stop the run, and it starts with the defensive line winning. Get into those pass situations, and I'm afraid of those too. But you have to get into those pass situations and see if Dak continues to struggle. In the last 2 games, they have turned it over twice. So one with us as well. It's just a game where you have to stop the run, and it's sort of we'll see from there. That's where it's at, and that's why it's scary. Why don't we just go ahead and jump into the predictions now? K-Dot, I'm not even going to give you a line because of all the player movement with COVID. So the question is, who do you think is going to win? If I had to, I haven't even looked at the line because I've just been like, no way. I imagine it's Dallas by a touchdown, maybe more.
According to fucking Pro Football Right, I'm seeing Dallas by 11.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds about right. So
yeah, that looks it.
Give me your score. Give me your winner. This is at Jerry World Sunday night, 8:20 p.m. NBC.
This has nothing to do with what I think X's and O's. This is just me sticking and being stubborn on what it is I said before I went to FedEx Field for that Dallas game, which is that I thought we were going to lose 2 out of 3. We've lost the 2. This is the win. So I do think this team pulls it together. Once again, between now and Sunday, when we're recording this here, Thursday night, if Antonio Gibson can't go, if Cole Holcomb can't go, if all these guys, if Landon Collins doesn't suit up,
gosh, yeah.
Like all these things, we're still kind of waiting to see what happens, and they're really, really huge. If all those guys go and end up playing, I feel a lot more confident saying Washington wins this game. I'm sticking around 27-24. It's just kind of the number I'm sticking with. But if all those guys can't go, I don't know, man. And if we show anything like we were at Philly on defense, man, this is going to be a really, really long night after Christmas that I'm not looking forward to as much as I thought I was.
Yeah, the only other way I can see us winning this game would actually be a very nice way to do it, and I think the entire fan base would welcome it, except those actively rooting for a new quarterback, is if Taylor Heinicke just puts the team on his back and hangs 40 on Dallas. Because it may be a back and forth where it's like, hey, we can't stop Dallas, and our only choice is to keep up. And that wouldn't be running the ball a whole lot. It would be to an extent, but it would be a lot of Taylor just pulling out magic, and just producing. I think he's got it in him. I think it's highly unlikely. So I do think this is the nail in the coffin for the team, unfortunately. And I don't think it's going to be pretty. I really hope it's at least close and we can make a play in the fourth quarter. But I've got Dallas 35 and I've got Washington 20. I do think we'll put some, and I think those are garbage time points. I really think this is unfortunately going to be a blowout because the team just looked run down. And this is a very, very quick turnaround against a physical Dallas team. But again, I hope I'm wrong, but I've got Dallas 35, Washington 20. We're going to see what happens. K-Dot, question for you though. Let's say we won out, just as a thought experiment. Let's say we win out, we finish 9-8. So that means we beat Dallas, which is heavy momentum. You and I are both momentum guys. Then we beat Philadelphia, and then we beat the Daniel Jones-less New York Giants. How are you feeling about our playoff chances?
I mean, look, when you went through your prediction, you went through one thing that is a possibility, but like you said, not very likely, which is the Taylor Heinicke throws demons back, and he just makes it happen. Because he's our energy guy, right? That's our go-to guy. When Chase Young is not there, Taylor Heinicke is the guy that we all feed off of as far as an energy standpoint.
Everyone's talked about how pumped they are to have him back. They can feel the energy again. Go ahead.
So you got me in the narrative, son. And what it is that I thought was going to happen was we lost 2 out of 3 and then go on the run. And the run being, hey, Taylor Heinicke, Antonio Gibson, let's fucking go. And just start lighting it up as we're going through the end of the season. If we do any given Sunday, I mean, anything can happen, but most likely we're going to get our asses kicked by whoever it is we get against the playoffs. I mean, the only thing you can really look at in the playoffs, like if Tampa Bay continues to struggle and there's the amount of injuries that they have there on the offense.
We would get McKissick back, potentially.
So, Tampa Bay, I look and say, all right, that could be interesting. I don't think we can hang with Green Bay. I don't think we can – L.A., looks like they might be trending and now hitting their stride. If that's the case, we're not touching those guys. I mean, some of the middling teams in the NFC, any given Sunday, like we could get some, but I'm not looking at this team and saying we're going to win a Super Bowl. I just think that would be too far-fetched.
No, that's fine. I was just asking more about just making it. So at 9-8, because that the point I wanted to make to everyone watching is you have to heavily watch the New Orleans Saints and Minnesota Vikings results. Because that week 5 loss, right? That week 5 loss to the New Orleans Saints is biting us in the ass big time. And thank you, Tom Brady, for putting up a goddamn shutout on national TV against the New Orleans Saints, who were quarterbacked by Taysom Hill. What was it, 9-0? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it eliminated me from the fantasy football playoffs.
Right. and I'm sorry, I wasn't going to bring it up. But that is, you're going to have to watch those. And we do need a 3-way tie if New Orleans finishes at 9-8. Because if we finish head-to-head with them and that's it, we're the only 2 teams at 9-8, we lose. So we would need Minnesota to beat. Let's say the Saints finish 9-8, we finish 9-8. You are looking for the Vikings to win that final week against Chicago, which means Kirk Cousins in a clutch moment. We know how that goes. And the Vikings have the Rams at home this week, and then they go to Green Bay. They have to win one of those. And Dalvin Cook just got COVID. So it's going to be very, very difficult. So even if we go on that run, it is very, very important you pay attention to those results. The Saints, their last 3 games. Now, Ian Book, as of right now, is going to be their starter because Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian are out as of right now. They could lose to a hot Miami team, but then they host Carolina. We need some Cam magic. And then they play Atlanta. And I don't think any of us take Atlanta that seriously, despite the fact we share a record with them.
I take Atlanta seriously.
Of course you do. Back to the beginning of the season where
Kyle
you did
Pitts,
have
baby.
Atlanta as he looks good. Kyle Pitts looks good.
I think he's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll have as high a pick so we can take another Kyle Pitts or something like that. But
There's no other Kyle Pitts. There's just Kyle Pitts. He stands alone. It's just
potentially. How about this? Potentially a superstar talent. All right.
This draft sucks.
This draft does suck. I honestly don't want a quarterback. I just teased that. I don't want a quarterback in this draft, but we'll talk about it. This is the Washington Football Team Preview Show brought to you by District Divided. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. Thank you guys so much for listening. A Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you. Hope you guys have a fantastic time, whether you're traveling or not. Most importantly, stay safe. If you catch Omicron, just chill, watch some Netflix, watch Succession. Dude, I just caught up fully. We can't talk about it on here. Maybe I'll just cut off this recording and we'll talk. Watch Succession if you have HBO Max. It is so good. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy
so much quality entertainment. I got to finish The Matrix. I think I'm actually going to like this movie and nobody else is, so I'm going to be alone on this.
All right, we'll catch up on that next week too.
All right.
Peace.